This video will show you why join EuroCham Cambodia.
What is EuroCham? EuroCham is the European Chamber of Commerce and the leading foreign business association in Cambodia.
EuroCham's core activities are promoting, supporting, and representing its members
and sustainable business interests in Cambodia.
Since 2011, EuroCham has grown to over 300 members and 6 national chapters.
Joining EuroCham can help you to grow your business in the kingdom.
Who can join? EuroCham is open to everybody. Locals and foreigners, companies, small and large, and individuals are all eligible to become EuroCham members.
We are looking for new startups or small and medium-sized enterprises that are looking to grow.
Why join EuroCham? EuroCham provides unique opportunities and events that help you network with like-minded people and organizations.
Becoming a EuroCham member will help build the visibility of your business both here in Cambodia as well as regionally and internationally.
By joining us, you are giving yourself a bigger, louder voice, a voice that can be heard further away than ever before.
EuroCham membership helps you to grow your network,
have a voice in shaping policies,
take advantage of training,
increase your company's visibility,
build the right team.
EuroCham represents opportunity.
Opportunity to build, to grow, to expand, and develop.
Visit our website today and become a EuroCham member.
Did you know that small and medium-sized enterprises represent 99% of all businesses in the EU and account for 70% of all jobs? Close to 45% of GDP in the EU was generated by IPR-intensive industries. SMEs are the motor of the EU economy. Their potential to boost employment and drive future innovation, 2 key priorities for the European Union, should not be overlooked. SMEs are particularly present in innovative industries such as clean technologies, healthcare, ICT, etc. Today, more and more SMEs are looking for business opportunities in emerging markets. Many of those companies are considering China, Southeast Asia, and Latin America as potential destinations. Trade relations between the EU and emerging markets have taken a new turn with the ongoing negotiation of FTAs and investment agreements. These regions are attractive destinations for European investors, with their fast-growing markets, rising middle classes, and competitiveness. Due to limited resources and available capacity, SMEs face many difficulties in managing their IP assets, and particularly when this involves IPR infringement in other regions. Intangible assets such as intellectual property rights are key factors in the competitiveness of businesses in the global economy. We have to be aware that IPR-intensive industries contributed 86% of imports and 93% of exports to EU external trade. And in developing markets such as Southeast Asia, Latin American countries and China, your trademark, patent, trade secret, industrial design are endangered. Before internationalizing your business, take an active part in protecting your assets. The International IPR SME Helpdesks are here to assist you and contribute to SMEs internationalization by the provision of step-by-step advice to build a successful IPR strategy for entering into the Chinese, Southeast Asian and/or Latin American markets. The range of services offered by the Helpdesk includes a 24-hour helpline service to reply to IPR questions, free online and on-site trainings delivered by IPR experts, free publications on various IPR topics and country fact sheets, and other useful information forms such as case studies, e-learning modules, video podcasts and more. So if you have any inquiries on IP protection, contact the Helpdesk in China, SEA or Latin America to learn how to manage your IP assets and expand your business successfully.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, panelists, members, partners of EuroCham Cambodia. Good afternoon, Your Excellency, Mr. Prachea, Secretary of State at the Ministry of Commerce. Good afternoon to Southeast Asia IP SME Helpdesk colleagues. Thank you for your presence in joining our collaborate webinar on intellectual property in arts and culture, Cambodia's accessions to the Berne Conventions. I am Suputika, EuroCham Event and Partnership Officer, delighted to be your host this afternoon. This afternoon webinar will cover the 3 presentations and a Q&A sessions. Please be informed that the audience can drop the questions in the Q&A box and chat to the chat box. As always, we'd like to thank all our partners for their support to EuroCham. Without any further delay, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Denis Sainte-Marie, Executive Director of EuroCham Cambodia, to give a welcome remarks.
Many thanks, Suputika. Welcome all of you. My name is Denis Sainte-Marie. I'm the Executive Director, and I have a chance to be surrounded by the lovely people who organize and prepare this today webinar. Cambodia has both a huge and priceless immaterial and material cultural heritage. Cambodia has also a vibrant, emerging artistic and cultural scene. We strongly believe that it is not only a strong contribution to the Cambodian identity, but also it is an asset for the economic development of Cambodia, the diversification of its economy, and the employment of its workforce. It is also one of the key to ensure that Cambodia becomes a major tourist destination and a way to reshape the tourism industry by having a more sustainable model, promoting local communities and culture, encouraging creation and diversification of employment opportunities. So from our point of view, this webinar that we have a chance to organize today also with a representative of the Cambodian Living Art and the CICADA, the Cambodian Association for Creative Industry. It is also for us a way to embark on a journey with the Cambodian authorities to reshape the tourism industry in this lovely country. I want first of all to thank His Excellency Prachea for joining this webinar on intellectual property in arts and culture, following in March, if I'm right, the full Cambodia accession to the Berne Convention. I'm also very pleased that we have this new session in our enduring collaboration with the Southeast Asia Intellectual Property SME Helpdesk and their expert of Abacus. Without any further delay, I'm pleased to give the floor to His Excellency and to declare also this webinar open and to wish you a very fruitful discussion. I noticed that already we got some questions from the audience, so I'm sure that we will have a very interesting and meaningful panel discussion. Thank you very much. And Q&A session.
Thank you, Denis. So we are honored to welcome His Excellency, Mr. Prachea, Secretary of State at the Ministry of Commerce, to deliver the opening remarks to officially start our webinar sessions. Please welcome.
Good afternoon, Excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Denis, Sainte-Marie, Executive Director of EuroCham Cambodia, lawyer, investor, business people in Cambodia and at overseas, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Excellency Pan Sorasa, Minister of Commerce and the Chairman of National Committee of Intellectual Property, it is my great honor and pleasure to address this opening remark for EuroCham webinar, Intellectual Property in Art and Culture, Cambodia accession to the Berne Convention today. Let me touch our past achievement a bit before we look forward to the achieving of future ambition. The accession to WTO, to WIPO in 1995 was a cornerstone for the intellectual property region in Cambodia. It has paved the way for Cambodia to rebuild the regulatory environment to take part in global intellectual property system by adopting law concerning mark, trade name, and act of unfair competition in 2002, law of copyright and related right in 2003, law on patent, utility model, certificate, and industrial design in 2003. And the last one is law on geographical identification of goods in 2014, and the law on seed management and plant breeder right in 2008. With this unstoppable commitment of the Royal Government of Cambodia, Cambodia continued to join a number of treaties administered by the WIPO, namely the Madrid Protocol, the Patent of Cooperation Treaty, the PCT, the Hague Agreement, the Geneva Acts of Lisbon Agreement on application of origin of geographical identification, Beijing Treaty on audiovisual performance to promote global IP and upgrade intellectual property in Cambodia and respond to economic, social development and global change. Cambodia is at a stage that requires new economic structure based to catch up with the global trend and maintain the growth in long run to attain upper middle income country. Following in aspiration, the Royal Government of Cambodia has attached the importance of IP as one of the key drivers for economic growth and poverty reduction. It also helped place IP as an important part of its comprehensive economic policy to encourage innovative, creative, and technological development, as well as made the effort to adopt IP law and regulation. Cambodia has adopted digital economic and social policy to catch up with the fourth industrial revolution trend to increase economic efficiency and to provide the benefit for Cambodians from digital transformation. It is global accepted that intellectual property protection is one of the main factors that spurs the technological development. Besides, it also has a role to play in many other sectors, namely agriculture, environment, industry, public health. Therefore, no doubt, the intellectual property is at the heart of Sustainable Development Goal 2030, in which IP role is to foster the innovation, creativity, and sustainable solution to end hunger, protect environment, promote economy, and enhance public health. In alignment with global development and country need, the National Committee for Intellectual Property of Cambodia have therefore draft national IP policy, which has the vision to developing the intellectual property system in Cambodia to become a driver force in development of economy, trade, industry, culture, tourism, and agriculture by promoting and protection of intellectual property, regulation, brand, and product of Cambodia, creation of cultural work, invention, genetic resource, traditional knowledge, and traditional cultural expression, promote the use of intellectual property, strengthening research and development in the technological products, and promote the creativity and invention, as well as cultural industry and respond to economic and social context and the fourth industry revolution, and contributing to achieve the vision of the Royal Government of Kingdom of Cambodia 2050, and the focus on 7 key areas, including 1, agriculture, 2, culture, 3, education and public awareness, 4, health, 5, 5th, trade in industry, 6, tourism, and 7, science and industry, technology. On December 9, 2021, His Excellency Pan Sorasak, Minister of Commerce and Chairman of National Committee of Intellectual Property, led member of the National Committee for Intellectual Property and member of Secretariat of the National Committee of Intellectual Property to deposit of instrument accession of the Berne Convention for the protection of literary and artwork to World Intellectual Property Organization through Mr. Darren Tan, Director General of WIPO. Cambodia became the 180 contracting party to the Berne Convention and enter into force on March 9, 2022. His Excellency Minister stressed that protection of intellectual property is the key unlock human potential. With this contracting party to Berne Convention, will encourage Cambodia talent people to produce creative work and result in promotion and development of creative industry. He also mentioned that this membership will promote and the national cultural traditional identity and literacy, artistic and scientific work on international stage, and being priceless pride to Cambodian people as a whole. Being a party to the Berne Convention will open the new age for modern Cambodian author and creator to receive reciprocal protection for literary, artistic, and scientific work without any discrimination from the contracting party of the convention. It is in the line with the strategy plan for trade integration 2019-2023 and national intellectual property policy to minimize the protection of literary and artistic work, as well as promoting the culture of the Kingdom of Cambodia in international framework through the principle of the protection with other 180 states as of January 28, 2022 that are party to Berne Convention. The Berne Convention on the protection of literary and artistic work on 1886 and amendment in 1979 will provide many advantage to Cambodia, such as 1, to increase human resource in field of culture, art, and science. 2, attract investment to creative industry, such as education, research, technology, audio, visual, music, and other arts in Kingdom of Cambodia. 3rd, promote and support innovative industry in national and international market. 4th, contributed to international obligation and enhance prestige on the international stage. 5th, to promote the status of interest of author, creator, create job, continue to national economy development. 6, encourage and the creation of the new copyright and related right work. 7, receive protection of literary, artistic, and scientific work in national and international framework within member state. 8, contributed to the development and better protection of the national culture and tradition. 9, promote and disseminate national identity and cultural traditional on the international stage. And in further globalization and the party of Berne Convention provide opportunity for the holder of the copyright and related right of the Kingdom of Cambodia to enjoy international economic right and moral right. And in addition, the Kingdom of Cambodia will have access to the foreign publication for promote education, research, and development as a factor in the contributing to the human resource development and preservation of the cultural sector as the component of the economic development through the development of creative industry in literature, music, audio, visual, film, sculpture, painting, visual art, and other art, and development of technology and increase investor confidence. I would like to take this opportunity to encourage all participants to discuss and raise any question or problem to get more detailed explanation from our national and international speaker and gain more real practice experience. Last but not least, I would like to wish Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, the 5 gems of Buddha's blessing. And now I declare opening the webinar Intellectual Property in Art, Culture, Cambodia Access to the Berne Convention. I thank you. And after this remark, I would like to be excused for my absence because I have another meeting soon. So I may leave, and I have a representative from the Minister of commerce on my behalf. And if you have any question, comment, concern related to the intellectual property, which Ministry of Commerce manage, I would be happy for my colleague to be present and answer any concern or question that you have. If you have any further that could be raised to the minister to have your voice to be heard, I would be happy also. And I thank you once again.
Thank you, His Excellency, for your opening remarks. So our next agenda will be a short introductions by Ms. Nora Bihari, Project Manager of Southeast Asia IP SME Helpdesk. Please.
Hi, Saputka, thank you very much. And I would like to say a special thank you for His Excellency Prachea for the very interesting presentation and for preparing the ground to discuss further on IP in Cambodia and on the Berne Convention. So if we can move to the next slide. I would like to give you just a very quick overview about the Southeast Asia IP SME Helpdesk project, which is an initiative of the European Commission. So basically this project is supporting European small and medium-sized enterprises to protect their intellectual property rights related to Southeast Asia. All services that we offer are free of charge. That's very important. So on this slide, you can see briefly on the services. So we have an inquiry helpline, and you can get in touch to receive an answer to your IP question related to the region within 3 working days. We organize trainings and workshops throughout the year, online, on site, in Southeast Asia or in Europe. We have a wide range of publications available on the website to download. So I would encourage you to visit. I will share some interesting ones with you at the end of the session. And we also offer some interactive learning tools, for example, videos that you can also check out on the website later on. And let's move to the next slide. Now I would like to play a little game with you. So there's a question, actually 2 questions that we would like the participants to answer before we move ahead with the presentations. So the first question is, so we can launch the poll. It's in Cambodia, my trademark will be protected forever as long as the renewal fees are paid in due time before the IP office. I do not have to worry about the use of my trademark. Is this true or false? The second question, Cambodia being part of the Berne Convention means that the protection and enforcement of any type of work will be automatic as long as it is original. True or false? So you have 20 seconds to choose the most suitable option. You can make up your mind. And then we hope that our speaker's presentation will give you some more information, and then you will find out if you answered correctly or not. But don't worry, there is nothing to lose. So let's wait a little bit, and then we can share the poll result. I think this would be also interesting for the presenters to see what the participants think. So they may have some comments throughout their presentation. So I think that we can share the result now. Okay, so for the first question, 21% said true and 78% false. And for the second question, it's a little bit half-half. Okay, so I would leave now the floor to the next speaker, Thea, to discuss further. Maybe he has some special comments. And thank you very much, and hope you will have a nice session, and see you later. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Nora. So the next agenda of our webinar is the presentations by Mr. Thea Pheng, partner at Abacus IP and External Expert of the SEA IP SME Helpdesk on the topic of IP legislations in Cambodia, a short overview of the legal framework and applicable international agreements.
Okay, good afternoon. You hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. So, good afternoon. His Excellency's Prachea, Secretary of State of Minister of Commerce. Good afternoon, Denis, Executive Director of EuroCham, Cambodia. And ladies and gentlemen. So thank you to all participants and the organizer at the Southeast Asia IPO SME Helpdesk and the EuroCham Cambodian for making this event possible. So the topic to cover this afternoon is overview of legal framework and international agreement in Cambodia. So the topic will cover a lot of different issues from IP legislation, sorry, I had to move this one. Okay, so to cover different issues from the IP legislation and international agreement that we have, different type of IP and its registration. And I will conclude with some tips for IP enforcement in Cambodia. So there's a lot to cover. Let's get started. So as you may know that Cambodian has enacted many laws in field of IP, and they are not enough to full compliant with the WTO in relation to the IP legislation. Cambodian IP legal framework is still in the early stage of development, and the enforcement of IP still remain a challenge. But there are a procedure in place in terms of registration of IP and some enforcement mechanism that anyone can use it for their protection. So before WTO accession in 2004, Cambodian began to take steps to ensure that its IP law were enacted and were in compliance with the WTO member commitment. As a result, trademark law, law on mark, a trade name and act of unfair competition was enacted, and then we have a sub-decree on the implementation of the law. And then later on, we have a patent, utility model certificate and industrial design in 2003, and then we have a broadcast to implement the law in 2006. And in 2017, the law on patent utility model certificate was amended. Just a few I recall. And then we have several MOU, an agreement with the other country. So in the past several years, Cambodian government has made some improvement to their legal system in order to reach international standard. So as a member of many international treaties, so we are a member of the Paris Convention, also a member of Multi-Protocol Patent Cooperation Treaty, PCT, and Hague Agreement for Industrial Design, Geneva Act of the Lisbon Agreement on the appellation and origin and geographical indication, and newly a member is a Beijing Treaty on audio visual performance in 2020. Most recently in June 2020, the King signed the law on adoption of the King of Cambodia to be a party of Berne Convention for the protection of literary and artistic work, and it entered into force on March 9, 2022. However, there's still a lot of outstanding IP legislation and issues need to be passed and improved. So let's go to the different type of IP. So here I just focus on the three first. So patent are granted for typical invention. Application for patent are examined by the patent office that they are filed with in order to determine whether they meet a stringent requirement for patent to be granted. Patent that generally lasts for minimum of 20 years from the filing date. Utility model offers simpler protection for a short period of time, but it usually register and publish much more quicker than patent. Copyright does not need to register, it automatically exists when the work is created. It protects any type of original creation expression, including literature, art, drama, music, photograph, recording, and broadcast. And then the next one is a trademark. Trademark are distinctive sign indicate source of the product or service. They include, for example, name, logo, color applied to the owner's product or service, which distinguishes them from a product and service provided by a competitor. Industrial design protect external appearance of the product. They do not give any protection for technical aspect. They include any composition of line or color or any three-dimensional form or any material, whether or not associated with the color line that is deemed to be industrial design. And then it should be appear to and judged by the eye. To be officially registered, design need to be original and possess individual character distinctive. The artistic aspect of the design may also be protected by a copyright. Trade secrets cover information not known to the public. If possessor of the information is careful to keep it confidential, he can sue anyone who steals it. Whenever the product is successful on the market, it's very likely that the competitor will attempt to make a similar identical product. The inventor will probably have invested significantly in developing the new product, establishing the supply chain for production, running a marketing campaign, and finding a distributor. Competition benefit from this effort. They have a greater market access, a better connection with the distributor, and access to cheaper primary sources. As a result, they are be able to offer their product at a cheap price. Innovator then under heavy pressure and then maybe divide out of business, while a competitor can get a free ride on the back of their creativity. The IP system is there to help innovators protect their invention, design, brand, artistic work, and so on. It provides them the ownership of their work and the right to exclude competitors from the production, import, or sale of infringing goods. Unlike the US, Canada, and Australia, Cambodians use the first-to-file system. In order to get protection and enjoy the exclusive right of IP, you have to apply for registration with the relevant ministry. In Cambodia, trademark searches are conducted by the Ministry of Commerce, Department of Intellectual Property Rights, Before you settle on a mark to register, we recommend you conduct a availability search, which will report whether the mark or anything confusingly similar has been registered before. You can do an unofficial search by yourself, and then through the online database of Cambodian mark that maintained by WIPO, World Intellectual Properties Organizations. Unless you find the exact same mark for the exact same good, you will need some professional judgment in order to determine whether the search results are a problem or whether you will be able to register the mark successfully. The advantages of the trademark search is saving the application time, effort, cost, in developing, adopting, and applying to register a mark in which someone else has a prior right. So the full exclusive right to use, to transfer, to sue, oppose, invalidation, remuneration, and payment of damage. So this is exclusive right that you may have or obtain from the registration. So when you file the application for registration, there are two types of applications. So you can choose whether you can file a single application or multi-class application. But the official fee is payable per class, even though you choose single or multiple, but you still pay per class. So a trademark must be any visible sign capable of distinguishing the good or service of another enterprise. And then there are two grounds for the examiner for examine your trademark. One is absolute ground for refusal. It's like a generic descriptive word or generic word. For example, like you apply the word apple for apple. This is we call like a generic word. A descriptive word cannot be registered. And then another ground is relative ground, that the examiner will find the prior mark which is confusingly similar to your application. So the registrar will refuse your trademark. Therefore, we recommend you to conduct a search before applying your application with the Ministry of Commerce. So make sure that your mark do not contain elements that contrary to the public order, morality, or good custom, or do not contain any flag, emblem, official sign of another state. So again, what is trademark? Here, just give you a trademark is a word or a number. It can be a logo or symbol or slogan, just the word, the slogan, just do it. And then product packaging. So you can design as your own. Your trademark has been registered with the Ministry of Commerce, so you typically it takes 6 months or 12 months for the smooth process. But if there is a refusal based on absolute ground or relative ground, like I read earlier, so the process will be delayed. It can be up to 1 or 2 years or more than that. So once the mark has been registered, so you can enjoy your exclusive right for 10 years from the date of filing, and can be renewed for consecutive period of 10 years. But in the fifth year anniversary of the date of registration, so you have to file affidavit of use or non-use. Even though you don't use the mark, but you still file the affidavit of use or non-use. This is required by law. So if you don't compliant with this, and then your mark will be to be removed from the registry. And the last one is any change to the registration, whether you change the address, you change the owner, you assign the mark, you license the mark to other person, to other parties. So it must be registered with the IP, and then make sure that you have a right to enforce it. So let's go to another type of IP. Let's talk about the patent. So patent is sometimes considered as a contract between applicant and society. The applicant and patent owner are interested in benefiting personally from their invention. They have their own right to prevent others from making, using, offering for selling, or importing a product that infringe their patent for limit amount of time in the country which patent has been granted. The exception to this is used for non-commercial purpose, for example, private use or academic research. The society is interested in encouraging innovation to their better product can be made and better production method can be used for the benefit of all, protecting new innovative companies so that they can compete with a large established company in order to maintain competitive economy, learning the detail of a new innovation that the other engineer or scientists can further improve them, and promoting technology transfer, for example, from university to industry. In return for this protection, the applicant has revealed his innovation to the public, so the other can build on it. As a rule, the patent office publishes application after 18 months. At this stage, they become visible to everyone. This social contract is a constitutional in form of patent law. So this is a smaller than patent we call utility model or petty patent. Intellectual property that protect technical invention just like a patent. In contrast, patent, however, utility model are available in some countries. For example, Austria, China, Germany, or Japan, but not in other. For example, Canada, US, and UK. Generally speaking, the application for utility model must be filed with the country where the applicant is seeking to protection for their innovation. In some countries, however, utility models may be based on international PCT application. Depending on the law in the country concerned, utility model offer protection up to a maximum of 5 years without possibility of renewal after expiration. This contrasts with the patent, which is offered 20 years for the protection. In most countries, utility models are registered without examination. Within a few months after filing application, they can be either in addition to or as alternative to a patent. So here is make sure that you don't invent the following item. So if you found the following item, you will not get a patent protection. For example, like discovery, science, mathematical models, rule or method for doing business, method of treatment of the human or animal by surgery or therapy, pharmaceutical product. So pharmaceutical product, you cannot, you will not obtain registration, but you can file the application with the patent office, and then they will put your application in the mailbox, and then until 2033, your application will be reviewed and examined. And then the last one is plant variety is will not be protected under the patents law. We have separate law on plant with the right, so you can apply under different of IP protection. Let's move to industrial design. So design is outward appearance of the whole part of product. A product can be any distinct, any industrial and handicraft item. So I think I can move quickly because this already brief at the early slide. So I just go to the example of the design. So here's some example of the industrial design. So when you are create a design, so if you wish to protect design, you can apply the application with the patent office. So they will review and then register it for you if it's new. So here's a brief of what I mentioned earlier. So the patent. So the basic requirement is new. New it means worldwide. Worldwide, and then inventive step, and then industrial applicable. The protection term is 20 years, but the annuity fee require you to pay for every year, and then from a small amount to the higher amount. And then utility model certificate, the basic requirement just two, so new or industrial new and industrial applicable, and then the protection for the utility model is 7 years, and then the same as patent, the annuity fee have to be paid for every year. The last one is industrial design. So ornamental aspect or artistic product, the design of the product. So you can get the protection for 5 years, the first protection, and then you can renew it twice. So totally is 15. So it's a overview. I will brief again. So patent, new, inventive step, and then industrial applicable, and then mean utility model certificate, just a short form. So new, and then no inventive step, but industrial applicable. And then the design should be new. So as mentioned earlier in the first, I think the first two slides, briefly about the overview of the international agreement that Cambodian have signed. So here for patent, so Ministry of Industry have signed a relevant MOU, an agreement with the China, Singapore, Europe, United States, Japan, and South Korea. So you can apply your patent through this mechanism method. So copyright protect, the last one is copyright. So I will just go quickly because my partner David will go through it again maybe. A copyright protects the production of the human mind, provided this production is an expression, it's not an idea, process, or discovery. The expression must be original. For example, of the copyright protected work in artistic, literary, science field, including literary, dramatic, music, artistic, photographic work, science article, computer program, and database. So copyright create a special legal relationship between the author and their work. The author is a physical person who create the work. The period for which legal protection is conferred is called term. International Treaty Convention have laid down a term of minimum of 50 years after the author's death. This means that the author enjoys copyright protection throughout the whole of his life. In the Europe, the term is 70 years. Copyright confer both economic and moral right on the owner. Economic exploitation right include the right of reproduction, communication to the public, translation, adaptation, distribution and resale. The moral right include the right of authorship, integrity, and divulgation. These rights are limited in the third party are allowed to use protect work in a certain situation for a certain purpose. This exception and limitation are in the public interest. The copyright infringement occurs if the copyright work is used without the consent of the authors or the right holders. So it's the tip, make sure that when you register your trademark and then you get a certificate, make sure that you have to collect the evidence of use and marketing material to keep in your file. Use the trademark voice service and market survey for your trademark. Take all necessary action against infringement activity and infringer in switch of decisive manner. Use a trademark agent, lawyer, or investigator. And the last one is allocate and treat the budget on IP protection and enforcement as an investment, not a burden and expense. So that's all for today's presentation, and thank you very much for your participation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thea Pheng. So, Mrs. Nora will share information of the two publications from SEA IP SME Helpdesk.
Sorry, I think that will be after David's presentation, so we can move forward now with David.
Okay,
first.
So coming up next, I would like to invite Mr. David Haskel, partner at Abacus IP, to deliver the presentations on the topic of the protections of creative industry in Cambodia, how to make use of the new tool, Berne Convention.
Thank you to everyone. I hope you hear me well. I'm going to be speaking about the Berne Convention and what it means for Cambodian creatives and artists. A bit about me, I'm a partner at Abacus IP with Thea, specializing in all areas of IP just in Cambodia. So our agenda is in two parts. First, what is the Berne Convention? And secondly, what it means for Cambodian artists and creatives. Part one, what is the Berne Convention? This gets a little technical legally, but I hope you can bear with me because it's important here. Yes. So the full title is the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works. It's
sorry,
international...
David, to cut you, but we cannot see your presentation.
I'm very sorry. Yeah. 1 second. Can you see it now?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so let me go back if I can. Well, let me just start here. So what is the Berne Convention? It's the Berne Convention for the Protection of Literary and Artistic Works. It's an international agreement adopted in 1886, one of the first IP treaties. And it's a method for creatives, meaning authors, musicians, painters, filmmakers, and everyone else, to control how their works are used, by whom, and on what terms. And you see here, it's managed by the World Intellectual Property Organization based in Switzerland. Members of the Berne Convention are all of the blue countries here, so it's the vast majority of the world's economy and population. These are the exceptions here, a few large countries being Ethiopia and Iran. But for our purposes, the most important exception, non-member of Berne is Myanmar, and which means that you don't have automatic protection there. If you wanted to protect your work in Myanmar, you need to publish it there originally, or within 30 days of publishing it in Cambodia, you need to then publish it there. So if that's a market that's important for you, then you'll need to take that extra step. But otherwise, you have protection almost globally. Cambodia enacted the law in June of 2020 to join, and then finally deposited the instrument with WIPO over a year and a half later. I think because of the corona pandemic, slowed that down. with an effective date from March 9th of 2022. And here we are today. We're waiting on implementing Prachea or sub-decree, question mark exactly when that will come and what form it will take. It just remains to be seen. So copyright prior to Berne, to understand it, you really need to go back in time to the 19th century, where there was no automatic protection for copyright. You had to register your work in each country individually. There was a range of copyright duration rules. So some countries would protect it for 10 years and others would for the whole life of the author. And it was quite complicated with also very different rights in each country. And that led to widespread infringement internationally. And actually the biggest infringer was the United States. There was a lot of infringement in the United States, and the Berne Convention was a way of harmonizing these rules and increasing the level of protection. The Berne Convention has three main parts. The first is national treatment, and that means that works originating in one of the contracting states must be given the same protection in each of the other contracting states as the latter grants to the works of its own nationals. So in not legal terms, that means that you need to treat foreigners the same as you treat your own citizens when it comes to copyright. Secondly, the protection must not be conditional upon compliance with any formality. And formality, there used to be many different types of formality. Today, there's recordation or registration, and means that while a country can have a registration system or a deposit system, it's still protected even if you don't do that. And there can be benefits to reporting it, but you will still be protected if you don't. Third is independence. So the protection is independent of the existence of protection in the country of origin of the work. If, however, a contracting state provides for a longer term of protection than the minimum prescribed by the convention and the work ceases to be protected in the country of origin, protection may be denied once protection in the country of origin ceases. This means, in essence, that your work is protected independent of whether it's protected in Cambodia. It will be protected in foreign countries. The convention sets a number of minimum standards. So it's essentially an agreement among all of the signatories to enact copyright laws that meet certain standards. The first is the scope of the work, and that each country is required to protect every production in the literary, scientific, and artistic domain, whatever the mode or form of its expression. That is extremely broad, and there's very little that doesn't qualify under that, so long as it's fixed. So if you, for example, the words that I'm speaking right now, if they're not being recorded, there won't be copyright in that. Or if someone is doing stand-up comedy and making things up as they go and no one's recording that, there's no copyright protection in that. It has to be fixed. And as for what can it be, the convention provides a whole non-exclusive list of types of works, but it's very broad and it's not even an exhaustive list. So it's really literary, scientific, and artistic domain, very broad. The rights that the copyright laws have to provide for is to translate it into languages, to make adaptations and arrangements of the work, or also known as derivative works, to perform in public, so for instance, a piece of theater, to recite the literary works in public, reading out a book or an article, to communicate it to the public, to broadcast it, whether on television or radio, to make reproductions, basically copying, and to use the work as a basis for an audiovisual work, so using it to make a film or a television show. Finally, on this first part, the pre-Berne in Cambodia, what was the situation before March 9th of this year? There was very limited protection for foreign works. So the authors are, to have your work protected, you had to either be resident in Cambodia or be a legal entity in Cambodia, or having your headquarters in Cambodia. For foreign, if you don't satisfy that first point, then the works had to be first published in Cambodia, and including works first published abroad that were then published in Cambodia within 30 days of their first communication to the public. So that's the rule that Myanmar still applies, but essentially very few works were following that. And so there was very little protection for foreign works in Cambodia. And then the second was that there was very limited protection of works abroad. Under foreign copyright law, Cambodian works were most likely not protected because those foreign countries that were members of the Berne would only grant protection for other members of the Berne Convention. The second part of my presentation is what this means for Cambodian artists and creatives, and I hope to give you some really practical hands-on advice for dealing with these issues. So the first is that the protection abroad is automatic. You can voluntarily record. For instance, in the United States, you can go to the Library of Commerce, send them fill out the copyright form and send them a copy of your work, and they will put it in there, and that would be proof of your ownership. But you're still, even if you don't do that, you are still hold a copyright in the United States. And again, it's global with a few of the exceptions to great countries. Secondly, enforcement abroad. You need to understand that enforcement and protection are not the same thing. So you have the copyright, but it's up to you to enforce your rights. No one is going to do this for you. And you have to go jurisdiction by jurisdiction, country by country. If infringement is happening in one place, stopping it there won't affect the infringement in other countries necessarily. You will need to really choose which countries you need to go after the infringers are and go under the authorities, the courts in those countries. Now, obviously, the world is very broad, and your protection is automatic, but the enforcement is not. And with the internet, everything is much bigger. So how to figure out if you are being infringed? There are some online tools. So if you are a photographer, I can recommend you check out pixie.com, and you basically sign up and upload your portfolio of photographs. It can even do your whole Google Images library, and then it basically scrapes the internet regularly and identifies anytime your picture is coming up, and then we'll try to assess whether it's infringing, whether it's permitted use, and provide tools for reaching out to the alleged infringer to either coordinate a license, getting your permission, or enforcing your rights and suing them. You also have what are called DMCA takedowns. So DMCA stands for the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and that is an American law that provides basically a safe harbor for these online platforms, any website, to essentially, they need to create a system where anyone can inform them that they think that their copyright is being violated. Then they will inform whoever uploaded that information to Facebook or YouTube and give them the chance to respond. And then if the response is not timely or not satisfactory, it will be taken down, or it's taken down right away pending their responses. So this on the left here is essentially the YouTube form with the URL right there. You basically add the video that you think is infringing your rights. You need to provide the information about yourselves and proof that you own the copyright to that, and you click submit, and it goes to their takedown division, and potentially a lawyer will look at this and assess your claim and then take it down. And so this is one very important tool if you're dealing with video that's going on, or video, any kind of content. I mean, obviously YouTube is video, but Facebook can be your pictures or text that you might have a copyright in, and the same with Amazon. A third point is copyright clearance. So foreign works are now copyrighted in Cambodia automatically, which means that you need permission to use them, to duplicate them, modify them, perform any of these foreign works. And that system is called copyright clearance, where you first identify any infringing elements in your work or any pieces of foreign work that you wish to use. You analyze the scope of the infringement and how much of it are you using? Is it protected abroad? Is it protected in Cambodia? And any fair use defenses or exceptions. Third, you would contact the copyright holder and seek to obtain their written permission or license. And then finally, that would give you clearance to use the work without assuming the risk of copyright infringement. There is a tool called the Copyright Clearance Marketplace, which can help you to identify who owns certain copyrights and get a license for it. It's mostly having to do with academic articles and business publications. So all text, and if you want to use one of these pieces in your work, you can use this tool. But generally speaking, there's just infinite amounts of material that's copyrighted. Every time someone takes a picture, it's copyrighted. And so you really need to spend the legwork to determine who owns it and reaching out to them through whatever channels you have and trying to get their permission or license. The take-homes for today, I hope that you remember these, is that the Berne Convention is a really big change for copyright in Cambodia, both expanding how much copyrighted works are in Cambodia and the rights of Cambodians abroad, that Cambodian artists and creatives are now protected globally, but that you also need to respect the foreign rights holders as well. So those are the take-homes, and I look forward to any questions that you might have and a fruitful Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. David. So now Mrs. Nora will share information of the two publications from SEA IP SME Helpdesk.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we shared it. Yes, exactly. This was the slide I wanted to share, and also say thank you to David and Thea's presentation. It was very insightful, and hope also that the audience gain some further knowledge about IP and mainly what's new with the Berne Convention. So the Helpdesk recently updated the Cambodia fact sheet. So we would like to encourage you all to download it from our website if you want to have some information about generally about IP in Cambodia. And recently we published an infographic about copyright, which also talks about the Berne Convention. We even updated the map showing that Cambodia joined the Berne Convention. So we hope that you will find this information useful. Now we would like to launch one more time the questions. If someone can support me from EuroCham Cambodia team. So the poll question will appear for the participants as well. So this is the funny part of the game, that we basically repeat the same questions to see if you change your mind. So first question is, in Cambodia, my trademark will be protected forever as long as the renewal fees are paid in due time before the IP office. I do not have to worry about the use of my trademark, true or false. You heard about that during the first presentation. And the second question is, Cambodia being part of the Berne Convention means that the protection and enforcement of any type of work will be automatic as long as it's original. So true or false? Let us know what you think. We would like to know if somehow the feedback is different from the beginning. And in order to have enough time during the Q&A, I think we can show the results. So, and then the speakers can address the questions received from the audience. Okay, so Yes, there is a change. Okay, that's interesting. Thank you very much. Once again, also thank you for EuroCham Cambodia for making this webinar happen. And now let's go for the questions. Thanks.
Thank you once again, Ms. Nora. So thanks to all the speakers. Our next session of the webinar will be the Q&A session, which is moderated by Mr. Zola, Public-Private Dialogue Coordinator at EuroCham Cambodia. And joining as the panelists, please welcome Mr. Thea Pheng, Mr. David Haskel, and our new speaker, Ms. Pina So. Ms. Pina So is the Knowledge, Network, and Policy Program Manager at Cambodia Living Arts and founding members of CICADA. So if there are any questions during the sessions, all the audience can drop the questions in the Q&A box. Then our team will facilitate the questions to the panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Patika. Thank you, speaker, for the extensive presentations. I have around 5 to 6 questions here. With the limited time, I try to be quick. So without further delay, I would like to start with the general frameworks, legal framework, I believe largely covered by Mr. Pheng here. Mr. Pheng here, what is exclusive right of intellectual property? What does this mean for the IP owner?
You're muted, Mong. Mong Pheng, you're muted. Sorry.
Okay, you hear me now, right? Okay, sorry.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for your question, Zola. And then, yes, the owner of the register IP, whether a trademark, patent, or design. So they will want their IP have been registered and protected by relevant ministry. So the owner of the IP right, they have the exclusive right to use the trademark, their patent or design. And then in addition, they also have right to oppose consequent conflicting application. For example, like you get a mark for, let's assume that, let's say your trademark is A, and then you apply for a product B. And then another application is A, and then B, quite the same or similar. So you can oppose the application, the latter application. And then you have the right to submit or to request for cancellation of any register mark if conflicting your registration, and a right to sue for infringement. Again, confusingly similar third-party trademark use, and then license your trademark to others party if you wish. And then you can file a request to a custom authority to seize any product or bearing quite similar trademark. And then the right for obtaining damage for infringement. And then, yes, these are the right that the IP owner should have.
Okay, Bong, thank you. Another question to you as well. You have put a list of regulation from law, sub-degree, Prachea, and treaty for copyright, trademarks, and patents. My question is, I believe also shared by our audience. What are the legal risks from the lack of awareness on the provisions set by these regulations? What are the penalties?
Okay, so yes, there will be a risk and consequences if you don't understand or lack of awareness or misunderstanding of the IP law. So the risk would be that your work or product would be infringing the IP right of another without knowing it. And then when you came to a patent industrial design trademark, the fact that you didn't know of the other right in order to defend. So for instance, you might have come up with your own brand, okay, and launch a product using it. Afterward, you get a letter from someone saying, hey, they own their trademark, okay? They own the trademark, so you will be infringing it. In fact, you don't know of their registration at the time of irrelevant, you still be infringing. So copyright is different if you happen to independently come up with a very similar work to another person's that would not be infringing their copyright. Infringement of the copyright requires the actual copying. So as long as you are not using another work on as a basis of your own work, you don't need to worry about the copyright infringement. As a consequences and penalty, they generally fall into three categories. First, the right owner can sue you for damage, meaning that you have to pay the money. Second, as a criminal fines, even imprisonment for a certain type of infringement. And then the third one is the court or other authority can order you to stop producing an infringing good or block import at the border, for instance.
Okay, thank you again, Bong, for your clarifications. So I'm going a bit deeper here into our main topics, the Berne Conventions. Mr. David, let's say I am a poet and I need to get my works protected. But in this case, do I need to register to get the protection from Berne Conventions?
Thank you. No, you do not need to register. The protection is automatic and the registration is completely voluntary. That's not just the case in Cambodia, but anywhere around the world that is a member of the Berne Convention. So at the same time, the registration can have certain benefits in terms of damages and enforcement, but it's not something you really need to worry about unless you have a dispute over who owns the work or if someone's infringing. So in Cambodia, oftentimes, most works are not deposited, but in case of a dispute, that's often the first step, is to simply deposit it with the Ministry of Culture and Fine Arts, and that gives you proof of the ownership. And then you can cite that in basically a letter to the alleged infringer saying you own the rights, and you stop often the first step in handling a dispute. I would advise to still, even though you don't have to deposit it, you can put the circle C or write copyright and then your name and the date on important work. So if you're the poet, I would certainly advise you to do that. And that gives notice to the world that you own it, you're claiming copyright on it, and potentially, depending on the jurisdiction, that you could get enhanced damages. And it also facilitates licensing. So it tells other people who might want to use your work who owns it, and makes it easier for them to get in touch with you.
Thank you, David. Another one to you. You mentioned before on clearance process at the end of your presentation that we need permission to duplicate or modify, or for instance, the works of the foreigners. My question is, are there any exceptional cases that we do not need a clearance process to use works that are produced by the others?
Yes, and this plays a very important part of the clearance process. So in many countries, they apply the concept of fair use, which means that the work is infringing, but you have a valid defense to that infringement. And that's based on kind of a balancing test of the nature of the work, how much of it have you copied and why you've copied it. But Cambodian copyright law does not use the term fair use or that framework, and rather it sets certain limitations on the author's right. I can't go into all of them in detail, but the most important is personal use of one copy, but that doesn't cover computer programs or digital works. It's very limited. You can show a movie to a close circle of your family or friends, Third, education purposes, but not for financial gain. And analysis and short quotations, so long as you're citing with the source. You can take quotes from a speech or text in, for example, your student essays. You can quote, a paragraph of a much longer piece, but you need to cite it properly. So, yeah, one of the steps in the clearance process is to go through these exceptions and see if you have a defense.
Thank you. Trying to be specific here, you mentioned some tools like Pixie Marketplace and DCMA. Are these two covering all form of literary and artistic works?
No, that they don't. So Pixie is really just for static images, and Marketplace is only for text, the business and academic articles. And there are tools for and other types of work. You can even set up like a Google alert for the title of your piece and see if anyone is copying that. But it's there's just so much works that are copyrighted. Every time you take a selfie, there's a copyright in that, and there's no universal system to just search for infringement. And obviously, a lot of infringement happens completely offline too. So it's really up to you as the rights owner to know what's going on and to enforce your rights on your own.
Okay. We understand that Cambodian accession to Berne Convention is effective from 9 March 2022, this year. I'm trying to wear different hats here. Let's say I copy someone else's works 2 years ago. So in this case, a provision of the Berne Convention apply retroactively from 9th of March. I believe this one is for David also.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't apply retroactively when it comes to the damages. But foreign works that were not protected prior to March 9th now are. So you won't have to pay the damages for using them before that date, but if you continue using it now, then you would. It becomes infringing after March 9th.
Conventions, I suppose next step on arts copyrights would be a proper publishing system, right?
Thanks for the question, Stephen and Zola. I mean, a proper publishing system for the copyrighted works, like I said, every picture, every line of text that you write is copyrighted. What has been recorded with the ministry is not actually on any database, not publicly facing database as yet. And it would be very helpful if they did eventually make that online, but that's a bigger project.
Yes, thank you. That's clear. I think this is also the final questions, and I will end our panel for today. Due to time limits, I also apologize to our audience that we couldn't cover all of your questions. But I think we have more or less 10 questions in the Q&A part here from the audience, but our speakers are doing their best to answer in writing. Thank you very much for that. But if you have any additional question, feel free to send to EuroCham email info@eurochamscambodia.org. I will pass this email address in the chats. So I would like to thank the panelists for your great input today, as well as the insightful presentations. With this, I would like to hand over the floor to my director, Mr. Denis Sainte-Marie, for his closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Zola. Thank you very much, all colleagues, for having shared your view and your insight on this issue. And thank you to the audience for your interest in this particular area. There is, of course, a room for improvement in Cambodia, but we strongly believe that Cambodia is on the good path. And also just to complement what has been said by my colleague Zola, you can also reach out directly to the project Southeast Asia IP SME Helpdesk. They do have the capacity also to provide answers to particular inquiries on IPR. It is part of their mandate. And having said that, I just want to inform you that by the end of June, early July, to be decided, but we will organize the next IPR webinar session on IP for consultants and freelancers. And many of the players now have this kind of legal statute. So it's important for them to know to which extent what they are producing belong to us or they belong to their customers, or in terms at least of methodology and so on. So the team will keep you informed of this next IPR webinar for consultants and freelancers. To be organized by the end of June, early July. So very important for the ones who are not members of EuroCham. If you are considering to become a member, or at least if you wish to receive our information regarding the various and numerous initiatives that we are organizing, both in person and online, don't hesitate to provide to the team your contact details in order we will add them to the dissemination list. Thank you very much for your interest. Thank you all. Thank you, my EuroCham team also for this lovely achievement, and have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Denis. So once again, we would like to thanks to Southeast Asia IP SME Helpdesk for their collaborations in hosting this webinar this afternoon. So if any of the audience here is interested in becoming EuroCham member, please contact Ms. Monica Chai for further detailed information. So there will be 2 events coming up in June. One is the exclusive real estate dinner, which will be happening on the 2nd of June. And the other one is a tall building forum, which is happening on the 22nd of June as well. We would also like to take this opportunity to welcome our new members, as well as appreciations to all of our 2022 annual partners for their ongoing support to EuroCham. On behalf of EuroCham, I would like to once again thank His Excellencies, speakers, and all the panelists for your time in participating in this afternoon webinar sessions. Thanks to all the audience for your time and interesting questions. The webinar comes to an end, and we hope to see you soon in our next webinar. Thank you.